In the heart of an ancient forest, where the trees seemed to stretch up to the heavens and the shadows danced with an eerie life of their own, there was a small, forgotten village named Eldergrove. The villagers were a tight-knit community, bound together by generations of shared history and whispered secrets. But there was one legend that no one dared to speak of openly, the legend of the Whispering Darkness. It began with the arrival of a stranger. On a cold, moonless night, a figure cloaked in black appeared at the edge of the village. The villagers, wary of outsiders, watched from a distance as the stranger made his way through the narrow, winding streets. He was a tall man, his face hidden beneath the shadow of his hood, and there was something unsettling about his presence. He moved with a quiet grace, as if he belonged to the shadows themselves. The villagers soon discovered that the stranger had taken up residence in the old, abandoned manor at the edge of the forest. The manor had been empty for decades, its windows shattered and its walls crumbling. It was said to be cursed, a place where the spirits of the past lingered, unable to find peace. But the stranger seemed unfazed by the rumors. He spent his days wandering the forest, and his nights inside the manor, the faint glow of candlelight flickering through the broken windows. As the days passed, strange things began to happen in Eldergrove. The villagers would hear whispers in the dead of night, soft and insistent voices that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The whispers were soft, almost gentle, but there was something sinister lurking beneath the surface. They spoke of secrets, of things that should never be known, and of the darkness that lay hidden in the heart of the forest. One night, a young girl named Elara, curious and brave beyond her years, decided to investigate the source of the whispers. She had always been fascinated by the stories of the Whispering Darkness, and she was determined to uncover the truth. Armed with only a small lantern and her courage, she made her way to the edge of the forest, where the manor stood like a silent sentinel. As she approached the manor, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to wrap around her, pulling her deeper into the shadows. She could feel the weight of the darkness pressing down on her, but she pressed on, driven by a sense of duty and a burning curiosity. Inside the manor, the air was thick with the scent of decay and the faint, lingering traces of something far more sinister. The walls were covered in ancient, faded tapestries, and the floorboards creaked under her feet. She made her way through the dark, empty rooms, the whispers growing louder with each step she took. Finally, she found herself in a large, dimly lit chamber at the heart of the manor. In the center of the room stood the stranger, his face still hidden beneath his hood. But as she stepped closer, she could see his eyes, cold, lifeless, and filled with a darkness that seemed to consume everything around him. "The whispers," he said, his voice a low, haunting whisper. "They are the voices of the past, the spirits of those who were lost in the forest. They seek to be heard, to be remembered. But their memories are dark, filled with pain and sorrow." Elara felt a shiver run down her spine as she realized the truth. The Whispering Darkness was not just a legend, it was a living, breathing entity, born from the suffering of those who had come before. And the stranger was its keeper, a vessel through which the darkness manifested. "You must leave," he said, his voice growing colder. "The darkness is growing stronger. It seeks to consume everything in its path. If you stay, you will be lost to it forever." But Elara was not afraid. She knew that the only way to stop the Whispering Darkness was confront it, to give the spirits the peace they so desperately sought. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, her lantern held high. "I will not let you win," she said, her voice steady and strong. "I will help the spirits find peace, and I will stop the darkness from spreading." The stranger's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment, the whispers fell silent. Then, with a sudden, violent surge, the darkness erupted around them, filling the room with a blinding, inky blackness. Elara could feel it pulling at her, trying to drag her into its depths, but she held on, her lantern a beacon of light in the darkness. In that moment, she understood the true nature of the Whispering Darkness. It was not just a force of evil, it was a manifestation of the pain and suffering of those who had been lost. And the only way to stop it was to heal the wounds of the past. With a final, desperate effort, Elara reached out to the spirits, her voice filled with compassion and understanding. She spoke to them, promising to remember their stories and to honor their memories. Slowly, the whispers began to fade, and the darkness receded, leaving behind a sense of peace and tranquility. When the villagers found Elara the next morning, she was standing in the middle of the manor, her lantern still burning brightly. The stranger was gone, and with him, the whispering darkness. The manor, once a place of fear and sorrow, now stood as a symbol of hope and redemption. From that day on, the villagers of Eldergrove spoke of the whispering darkness with reverence and respect. They knew that the darkness would always be a part of their history, but they also knew that they had the power to overcome it, to heal the wounds of the past and to build a brighter future. And so, the legend of the whispering darkness lived on, a reminder of the strength of the human spirit and the power of compassion to overcome even the darkest of shadows.